You are holding on. Maybe it's something you thought you had already released. A memory, a relationship, a mistake, a version of yourself that no longer exists. And yet, in the quiet hours of the night, when the world softens and your breath slows, you can feel it still, the weight, the tightness in your chest, the quiet ache of something you cannot name. Letting go is not easy. In fact, it may be one of the most difficult spiritual practices you will ever attempt. It requires not just the release of the external, but the surrender of the inner attachments, the thoughts, stories, and expectations you have clung to for so long that they feel like part of your identity. In Buddhism, the art of letting go is not about giving up. It is about waking up. It is about recognizing what is no longer serving your heart, your spirit, your peace. This journey is not linear. It is a spiral, returning again and again to the same place with greater awareness each time. In this series, you are invited to gently explore the nature of your attachments, to recognize the subtle ways you grip the past, the future, and even the present moment. Through stories, teachings, reflections, and silence, you will learn not how to force yourself to let go, but how to understand why you hold on, and to cultivate the conditions in which release arises naturally. Like a leaf falling from a tree when the season is right, this is not just a meditation. It is a gentle unraveling, a sacred return to your true nature, light, open, free. You may have clung tightly to something, a dream, a role, a person, a version of life you believed in. And you thought that if you let go, you would lose everything. But over time, the thing you're holding on to begins to shift. It fades, or it hurts you, or it simply no longer fits. Still, your grip remains. Why? According to the teachings of the Buddha, suffering does not arise from what happens to you. It arises from how you relate to it. The tighter you hold, the more pain you feel. This holding is what the Buddha called upadana, clinging, grasping, attachment. You may be holding on not because you are weak, but because you are afraid. Afraid of who you'll be without that story. Afraid of the emptiness that follows release. Afraid that peace might feel like loss. But in truth, peace begins when you stop resisting impermanence. Everything is changing: your body, your thoughts, your relationships, your emotions, your life. And yet, somewhere inside you, there is a stillness that does not change. Letting go is not about abandoning what you love. It is about no longer identifying with what is passing and returning to what is eternal. Can you feel the breath as it enters and leaves? Each inhale new, each exhale release. The breath shows you the way. You do not cling to the last breath. You do not fear the next one. You simply allow. That is the teaching. As you lie here, listening, you are not being asked to let go all at once. You are being asked to notice. Notice what still hurts. Notice what you keep replaying. Notice what you grasp with fear, or guilt, or longing. And then, with compassion, say to yourself, I am learning to let go. Not I must let go. Not I need to let go. But gently, slowly, I am learning. Letting go is a practice, a daily return to trust. Tonight, you do not need to resolve everything. You only need to soften. Let the muscles of the mind unwind. Let the stories become clouds. Let the tension dissolve into stillness. The more you listen, the more you remember. You were never meant to carry it all. This journey is not about forcing change. It is about creating space. Space in your breath. Space in your thoughts. Space in your heart to allow what is real and let go of what is ready to leave. Feel your body resting. Feel the ground beneath you holding you. Feel the invitation to release. You are safe. You are whole. You are not alone. Let the letting go begin. You begin to realize that the pain you've been carrying isn't solely from what happened, but from how tightly you've held onto it. That's what makes it linger. What was once a passing storm becomes a permanent shadow when you invite it to stay, when you resist the truth of its passing. According to the Buddha's teachings, the root of all suffering lies in attachment, also known as tanha, craving, and upadana, clinging. When you desire for something to stay, to never change, to never end, you begin to suffer the moment reality refuses to comply. And reality never complies for long. All things that arise, pass. This is the law of impermanence, anicca. You may be attached to outcomes, to roles, to identities. You may be attached to your pain, strangely comforted by its familiarity. Even suffering can become a home if you've lived in it long enough. And so you hold on, because the unknown is frightening. The known, even if painful, feels safer than the uncertainty of letting go. But the Dharma invites you to see with clear eyes. The pain is not from what has changed, it is from resisting that change. The fear is not from what you might lose, it is from mistaking what is temporary as something meant to last forever. You hold on to people who have left, even though their journey has taken them elsewhere. You hold on to ideas about yourself that you're not enough, that you must prove your worth even though these are just stories, not truths. You hold on to moments of joy, trying to recreate them, forgetting that even beauty fades. That's what makes it precious. In Zen Buddhism, clinging is likened to grabbing a snowflake with a warm hand. The more tightly you hold it, the faster it melts. But when you open your palm, it may rest there for a while in peace. There is another layer, too. You may be attached not only to what you like, but also to what you dislike. This is aversion, another form of clinging. You push away pain, anger, sadness, and in doing so, you give it more power. The very thing you try to escape becomes the thing that binds you. What would happen if you stopped pushing away? If you allowed the ache to be there, without feeding it, without fearing it? If you simply observed it as you would a cloud drifting across the sky, present but not permanent? You may have heard this before, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. In truth, pain comes with being human. But suffering arises from the mind's refusal to accept what is. You suffer when you want things to be other than they are. The key, then, is not to change everything around you, but to transform the way you relate to it. In meditation, you learn to watch the mind as it grasps for certainty, for validation, for peace. You notice how it reacts to discomfort, how it tries to fix or control. And you begin to understand. Peace does not come from fixing. Peace comes from presence. Letting go, then, is not a loss, it is a liberation. It is returning the burden you never needed to carry. It is loosening your grip so that life may flow again, freely, naturally, like water around a stone. You may ask, but how do I let go of something that hurt me? Begin by seeing that your suffering is real, but so is your capacity to be free of it. See that you are not your pain. You are the awareness behind it. You are the space in which it arises and dissolves. Take a moment to breathe. Inhale deeply. Hold it gently. Now exhale slowly, as if releasing one thread of attachment with every breath. With each exhale, silently say, I release, not because you should, but because your spirit is ready. Not because you're over it, but because you're tired of being under it. And so you practice, again and again, not to become perfect, but to become free. The Buddha taught, attachment is the root of suffering, but he also taught that the end of suffering is possible, through insight, through compassion, through the gentle, intentional act of letting go. And so tonight you rest in that practice. You rest not in avoidance, but in courage. The courage to soften, to see, to release. Not all at once, but one breath at a time. Let go. Letting go is often misunderstood. You may have been told that letting go means giving up, walking away, forgetting, disconnecting. But in the deepest sense, letting go is not abandonment. It is not indifference. It is not weakness. It is wisdom. To let go is to understand. And understanding brings compassion, clarity, and freedom. When you truly see the nature of something, its impermanence, its uncontrollability, its limitation, you no longer cling to it out of fear or ignorance. You relate to it from a place of peace, not possession. You begin to realize letting go is not losing. Letting go is returning. Returning to yourself. Returning to the still, quiet center that was buried under all the holding on. Letting go is not something you do, it is something that happens when the mind is ready. It unfolds naturally, like a fruit falling from a tree when it is ripe. You cannot force a leaf to fall. You can only stop clutching it. There is a difference between letting go and pushing away. To push away is an act of fear, to avoid, to deny, to suppress. To let go is an act of love, to see clearly, to accept, and to release gently. Think of your relationships. Think of the people you've tried to hold onto long after their season in your life had passed. You may have done so from fear of loneliness, fear of change, fear of not being loved again. But what did it cost your peace? Think of the stories you tell yourself. I'm not enough. I failed. I must keep trying. These inner narratives are not truths, they are patterns. And you've held them because they felt familiar. But now, perhaps, it's time to question them. Not to judge yourself, but to ask, is this serving me anymore? In Zen, we don't cling to identity. We recognize that the self, the ego, is not fixed. It is a river constantly flowing. When you let go of needing to be someone, you begin to experience freedom. You become vast, spacious, alive. Letting go, then, is a movement from contraction to expansion, from control to surrender, from clinging to trust. You do not have to reject anything. You simply stop holding onto it so tightly. You may ask, but how do I know when it's time to let go? You'll feel it in your body, in your breath, in the way your energy shifts. It often begins with exhaustion, a sense that the effort to maintain, to fix, to hold on is no longer worth the cost. Then comes awareness, a glimpse of truth, a soft, inner knowing that it is time to release. You may cry. You may grieve. Let that be part of the practice. Let the emotions move through you. They are not barriers to letting go, they are signs that you are alive, that your heart is opening. And in the space that remains, silence. Not emptiness, not void, but spaciousness where new things can grow, where stillness can enter, where your true self can breathe again. When you let go, you make space for joy, for lightness, for flow. There is a Zen story of a student who came to the master asking to be taught, but the student was already full of knowledge, assumptions, pride. The master poured tea into the student's cup until it overflowed. The student shouted, "It's full. No more will fit." The master replied, "Exactly. How can I show you truth if your cup is already full? You must empty your cup." Letting go is the emptying, not of meaning but of false certainty, not of love but of attachment, not of responsibility but of control. Tonight, let yourself soften. Where are you holding tension? In your shoulders? Your jaw? Your breath? Where are you holding memories, regrets, unresolved stories? Bring them into awareness. Then breathe. With each inhale, gather gentle attention. With each exhale, release one thread of grasping. You are not forcing anything. You are allowing what is ready to fall away. Letting go is not a single act, it is a way of living. It is a daily practice of choosing spaciousness over suffocation, presence over past, trust over fear. You are learning. You are opening. You are ready. And in this readiness, something begins to shift. You smile, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer trying to hold what cannot be held. You are letting go. You begin to look inward, not as an escape, but as a way home. Meditation is not about achieving something. It is not about becoming someone different or entering some special state of mind. It is about sitting still, breathing softly, and seeing clearly. Seeing what is present within you without judgment, without resistance. Through meditation, you begin to recognize the nature of your thoughts. You see how they rise like waves, and how easily the mind becomes entangled in memories, in hopes, in fears. You see how quickly your attention drifts to the past or rushes toward the future. But the breath is always now, always here. The Buddha taught that mindfulness is the path to freedom. When you are mindful, you begin to observe rather than react. You witness your own mind with compassion. You notice your clinging and you soften. Sit with your breath. Feel the air enter your body. Noticing, not controlling, just being. When a thought arises, I should have done this. Why did they hurt me? What if I fail? Instead of following the story, you acknowledge it, a thought, and then you return to your breath, to your body, to this moment. This is the essence of Zen. Simple presence. No drama, no resistance, just life as it is. Letting go becomes possible when you stop feeding the stories. You begin to see that the pain you feel is real, but the story you tell about it may not be. You don't have to fight the pain. You don't even have to fix it. You only have to sit with it, to breathe with it, to allow it the dignity of being seen and then let it dissolve on its own. This is the paradox. The more you run from your emotions, the more power they have over you. But when you turn toward them gently with courage, they begin to shift. Letting go through meditation is not like dropping a heavy object. It is more like watching a knot loosen, strand by strand. It takes patience, stillness, faith. You may feel restless. You may feel bored. You may encounter resistance. That is okay. That is part of the path. Notice the resistance. Breathe into it. Welcome it. Everything you need to release is already within your awareness. You do not have to find it. You only have to feel it. There may be grief. There may be shame. There may be memories that stir tears behind your closed eyes. Let them come. Let them pass. Do not analyze. Do not argue. Simply witness. In Zen, there is a saying, let the mud settle, and the water becomes clear. Your mind may feel muddy now. That's okay. Just keep sitting. Eventually, without effort, the clarity will arise. This clarity is not intellectual. It is felt. You begin to know, not with the mind but with the heart, that you are not your thoughts, that you are not your past, that you are not the pain. You are the awareness holding it all. And from that awareness, letting go becomes natural. Not forced, not performed, just real. You might notice in your meditation that certain images return, a person, a place, a moment. And you feel a contraction in the chest, a tightening in the throat. That is the signal. That is where you are still holding. Do not run. Breathe. Place your attention there like a soft hand. Ask, what is this trying to protect? And then, is it okay to let go now? Sometimes the answer is no. That's okay. Sometimes the answer is tears. Let them fall. Sometimes the answer is silence, a deep, quiet knowing that says, yes, I'm ready. This is not a destination. This is a practice. And tonight you are practicing with courage. You are sitting with the weight you no longer wish to carry. You are observing the mind that has tried so hard to protect you. You are releasing breath by breath what no longer serves your freedom. And in this stillness, you are remembering something ancient and true. That peace is not somewhere else. It is here, beneath the noise, beneath the holding. Always here. Let the thoughts come. Let the emotions rise. Let everything be just as it is. And then, let go. Let the silence hold you now. There is a place inside you that still hurts. It may be quiet, buried beneath daily distractions. But it is there, an old wound, an unresolved ache, a name you whisper in the dark. And though you try to forget, it resurfaces in the quiet moments, like now. You carry pain not only because it happened, but because you haven't fully forgiven. Not them, not yourself. Forgiveness is the most difficult letting go. We often think forgiveness is something we give to others, an act of mercy toward someone who wronged us. But in truth, forgiveness is for you. It is the key that unlocks your own prison. You are the one who suffers when you hold on to anger. You are the one who suffers when guilt becomes your shadow. And you are the only one who can choose to release it. You may think, I can't forgive them. What they did was too much. Or, I can't forgive myself. I ruined everything. But look deeper. Is the pain helping you heal? Or is it keeping you trapped? Forgiveness is not saying what happened was okay. It is saying, I no longer want to carry this weight. It is reclaiming your freedom from the past. In Buddhism, forgiveness arises from compassion, karu, the understanding that we all act out of ignorance, fear, and suffering. Even those who hurt you, even yourself. You begin to see. People cause harm not because they are evil, but because they are unconscious. You included. When you see through the lens of compassion, the tightness begins to soften. Tonight, as you breathe gently, you may choose to bring someone to mind. Someone who caused you pain. Or perhaps your own face in the mirror. Let yourself feel the resistance, the hurt, the anger, the shame, and then breathe into it. Not to push it away, but to hold it gently. Say silently, I see your suffering. I see my own. And I am learning to forgive. Not because it is easy, but because I deserve peace. Sometimes forgiveness begins not with a decision, but with a softening. A willingness. A tiny crack in the wall. That's all it takes. That's enough. You may cry. You may feel a heaviness lifting. Or you may feel nothing, only stillness. That too is healing. Forgiveness is not a single moment. It is 1,000 breaths. Each one letting go a little more. Each one saying, I choose peace over pain. I choose freedom over fear. I choose love. You don't need to tell anyone. This practice is between you and your own heart. Let the quiet guide you. Let your breath carry the old weight away. And if you find yourself resisting again, that's okay. Smile at your humanity. Return to the breath. The path of forgiveness is the path of letting go. Let your heart open. Let it tremble. Let it heal. Tonight you forgive. You return to the breath. It's always been there. Steady, quiet, loyal. Through every moment of joy, every storm of sorrow, every restless night, Your breath has never abandoned you. It is your first teacher, your first friend, your first guide. And tonight, it will show you the path of letting go, not through effort, but through rhythm. In Buddhist meditation, the breath is not just air moving in and out of the body. It is presence itself. It is the anchor that brings you home from wandering thoughts, from looping regrets, from imagined futures. It reminds you, this moment is enough. As you inhale, feel the gentle expansion of your chest. As you exhale, feel the soft release. This is your practice. This is your letting go. You don't have to do anything with your breath. Just notice it. Feel it. Allow it. When the mind begins to drift, and it will simply return. Return without judgment, without frustration. Each return is an act of love. This is what the Zen masters mean when they say, let go or be dragged. You are not fighting your thoughts. You are not suppressing your feelings. You are simply returning to the breath again and again and again. Each breath carries wisdom. The inhale reminds you that you are alive. The exhale reminds you that everything is temporary. You do not cling to the last breath. You do not resist the next one. You simply allow. Can you trust the breath in this same way in your life? Can you trust that what comes to you is meant to be experienced? And what leaves is meant to be released? The breath teaches impermanence. It teaches non-attachment. And it teaches surrender. When you are anxious, breathe slowly. When you are afraid, breathe gently. When you are hurting, breathe deeply. And when you are healing, breathe with gratitude. Right now, feel the breath enter your body. Cool, soft, cleansing. Feel the breath leave. Warm, releasing, quiet. With each breath, imagine a burden dissolving. A regret loosening its grip. A name, a memory. A worry floating away with the wind. You are not rushing this process. Letting go is not a race, it is a return. Back to what is simple. Back to what is real. Back to the silence between thoughts. You may begin to notice a shift. A lightness in your chest, a stillness in your mind. A sense of space opening around your being. This is not emptiness. This is peace. And the breath will always bring you back to it. Even on the hardest days. Even when the mind is noisy. Even when the heart is tired. The breath is your temple. The breath is your refuge. The breath is your teacher. Let it guide you. Inhale, receiving. Exhale, releasing. You are safe. You are held. You are letting go one breath at a time. You begin to understand that letting go is not only an emotional act, it is a way of living. The more you sit with stillness, the more you realize how much of your life has been shaped by accumulation of things, of distractions, of expectations. You've been taught that more is better, that to be full is to be successful. But the Dharma whispers something different. To be empty is to be free. Simplicity is sacred. To live simply does not mean to live without. It means to live without what no longer brings peace. Look around you. Look within you. How much of what surrounds you reflects your true needs? And how much reflects your attachments? You may keep objects out of sentiment. Clothes that no longer fit. Gifts from people no longer present. Items you haven't touched in years. And yet, they weigh something. Not just physically, but emotionally. Each object has a story. Some still nourish you. Others quietly bind you. Now look inward. How many ideas are you holding that no longer serve you? Ideas like, I must please everyone. I have to achieve more to be worthy. I can't be happy unless everything is under control. These are the mental clutter of modern life. And just like a cluttered room, they leave no space for rest. Simplicity invites depth. When you release the unnecessary, what remains becomes sacred. When you let go of the excess, you begin to taste life more fully. The sweetness of silence, the joy in small moments, the peace that arises when you no longer chase what doesn't matter. Zen monks live with only what they need. Not because they reject the world, but because they cherish spaciousness for thought, for practice, for presence. You can do this too. You don't need to renounce the world, but you can begin by asking, what am I holding that no longer brings peace? Maybe it's an old habit. Maybe it's a commitment made from fear, not love. Maybe it's the belief that productivity equals value. You don't need to throw everything away. You only need to let go of what clutters your heart. Even your schedule can be simplified. Even your conversations. Even the noise in your own head. Simplicity is not cold or sterile. It is warm, intimate, alive. Creates room for laughter, for rest, for presence. As you begin to live more simply, you'll notice something surprising. You feel richer, not because you have more, but because you finally notice what you already have. The sun through the window, the sound of birds in the morning, a breath that fills your lungs with life. These moments are invisible when life is crowded, but in simplicity they become jewels. Let go of the rush. Let go of the noise. Let go of the shoulds and musts and what-ifs. Return to what is essential, what is meaningful, what is true, and let that guide your life. A simple life is not an empty life. It is a life full of space, for joy, for healing, for awakening. Tonight, as you rest, feel the layers fall away, not just from your body, but from your spirit. You are allowed to let go of complexity. You are allowed to stop trying so hard. You are allowed to be simple. And in that simplicity, you will discover depth. Let go. Letting go is not a one-time decision, it is a way of being. It is not a destination you arrive at, but a rhythm you return to over and over, like waves meeting the shore. It is the soft discipline of choosing presence over attachment, silence over reaction, stillness over struggle. It is the art of being with life rather than against it. And like any art, it deepens with practice. Tonight, you are not being asked to do anything new. You are simply being asked to remember. Remember how it feels to be still. To not chase, to not resist, to not pretend. To sit with what is just as it is and trust that it is enough. You have walked through the teachings. You have felt the weight of your clinging. You have breathed into the pain. You have wept. You have softened. You have opened. Now you simply rest. The art of letting go is not about erasing emotion. It is about allowing every emotion its place, and then allowing it to pass. It is not about removing pain. It is about removing your identity from the pain. It is not about having no preferences. It is about not being bound by them. You may still want love, still wish for healing, still long for beauty, but you no longer cling. And in that shift, you are free. In Zen Buddhism, awakening is not dramatic. It is not fireworks or flashes of insight. It is the moment you stop arguing with reality. It is the deep exhale that comes when you surrender. You let go not because life is perfect, but because you no longer need it to be. You let go not because you've stopped caring, but because you've stopped controlling. You let go not because you're over it, but because you're finally under it, grounded, rooted, still. From this stillness, you begin to live differently. You listen more. You judge less. You walk slower. You speak softer. You breathe deeper. You live like a mountain, unmoved by storms, rooted in silence. You love like a river, flowing without attachment. You sit like the Buddha under the Bodhi tree, alert, present, free. Letting go is not the end. It is the beginning. It is the beginning of true peace, of unconditional joy, of a love that does not grasp but embraces. It is the beginning of your return to the moment again and again. You do not have to master this. You only have to practice. One breath, one thought, one gentle act of surrender at a time. Let this be your path. Not a rigid road, but a flowing stream. Not a checklist, but a living rhythm. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are exactly where you need to be. You are ready. You are already letting go. And as you fall into sleep now, know that you are supported by the Dharma, by the breath, by the quiet presence within you that has always known the way. Let the day fall away. Let the mind soften. Let the heart rest. Let go.